Is she? I did touch base with her. Yeah. Second semester. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good. Yeah.
What I say, not what I do.
She may have just started with the principal wanting to get that together. I don't know who else she's inviting, but I know she wants to perform. So say like if you say you're available. Well, she said let's get it started.
Call ourselves to order. Welcome, everyone. Happy New Year. If we could stand and everybody would join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Happy New Year, everyone. Hope everyone had a blessed holiday. And welcome back. We have, I believe, our volunteer update from Ms. Squirk. You know, I've been told I've skipped the roll call.
And we're all here.
Yeah, honestly, that seems like an antiquated measure, but I'll proceed. Dr. O'Neill.
Present.
Mr. Heater.
Present.
Dr. Bales. Mrs. Watasha Barnes Griffin. Mr. Mark Urban.
Present.
Mr. Jim Lowe.
Present.
Okay, we'll show everybody present. I apologize. I was just so excited about the volunteer update that.
Okay, so again, I'm Allison Quirk, and tomorrow will be my 6-month anniversary with Muncie Community Schools. So still lots to learn. So I decided to share with you, I think I presented back in September, so I'm going to share with you a few different things that we've worked on from October until today. So the first thing that I would like to draw your attention to, some of those faces should look very familiar. We worked with Ball State and we hosted, DEAR is an ongoing program at Southview. DEAR is Drop Everything and Read. And we had an opportunity where Kate Elliott organized for students and people from Ball State and also people from the community to come in and read with our students at 7:30 in the morning. So it's an early responsibility, but it was a fun day. So I love these pictures because to me, it speaks volumes. And the fact that knowing all three of those volunteers and the wealth of knowledge that each of them hold, that they took that time to share with our students is very meaningful. So So there are lots of opportunities for you to volunteer as well to get your picture in my presentation. Okay, so in October, one of the bigger things that I was able to help with, this didn't really fall under volunteerism, but it was still a community relationship. The Knights of Columbus here in Muncie donated about 150 brand new winter coats. And then I had the opportunity to get to share those with the schools. And so we divided them up to see what the needs were, and then we took them out to our schools throughout the district. So it was something that was very much appreciated, and it came at the perfect time. So as it was starting to get cold, we were able to offer new coats to some of our students. The CEC held their golf outing. I think I spoke about that last time. We raised over $4,000. It was a really nice day and a nice event, and those proceeds are going to help address absenteeism. And I have an example of something that the CEC is working with Jenny Smithson to purchase to share with our schools in addressing the issue of absenteeism. And that we also had volunteers who came out from the community and people who came out from CEC. The students at Central organized I think this is the first time they held it, was like a fall festival, but it was a really nice event. It was all student-led, student organized. It was a beautiful day. And so we were able to invite volunteers. And during that event, I was able to pass out probably over 100 books to children in the community. So if those of you that if I haven't had the opportunity to share this with you, I've kind of made it like an unofficial part of my job that whenever I go out to public events, I pass out books to kids. So you probably will see me carrying a blue bag that's full of books. And when I see children at basketball games and football games, I offer them books. So, and I also get the benefit of embarrassing my children as I do this. So. Okay, so for November, we participated in the United Way campaign, helping be the liaison for United Way falls as one of my responsibilities. So even though I do think that we have some room for improvement in making, I come from a United Way background. Like I've always worked for United Way agents, or not always, but have for a long period of time worked for United Way agencies. And so I want to do a better job of making sure that our schools and our teachers know and understand all the resources that are available through United Way and all the things that they contribute and help with. But we were, according to United Way records, one of the few campaigns that actually grew this year. So that was a win for Muncie Community Schools that we're excited about. We also had over 100 employees participate in a walking challenge that was organized by Ball State. And the Community Engagement Council launched what they are calling the Student Assistance Fund. And we're making that available to teachers and administrators in schools. If there's a need that a student may have that can't be met through other resources in the community, they have an application process that gets submitted to the council members. They review it, and then they determine if that's something that they could provide for that student. So we've already had a couple of opportunities where we've been able to meet a need for some of our MCS students. So that's exciting. What was that?
How do we fund that?
So that comes from the CEC budget.
Okay, so it's been. Okay.
It's within their budget. So for example, like we did the golf outing, and prior to me being there, they had other fundraisers that they had participated in. So they have a limited budget, but
sure.
In their mind, they would rather share it with a student that has a need than just,
That's
having
awesome.
it sit there. So.
That's awesome.
To build on.
So they chose not to do that. But with that said, I mean, obviously we have a limited amount of resources. So I think that the intention was that when that need was presented to the CEC, we could engage in a conversation with what they were willing or comfortable with providing for that. So far it's been like $50, so it's not been substantial.
And the good news with that is that Allison can bring it back, and we know sometimes other resources And so really it is a last resort. If there are other ways that we can get what's needed, we do. And if not, then the CEC can use the funds to get that.
So to the questions, you said 50 is the amount in total you paid out, or that's the limit for one person?
That was the limit of like one item that I bought, right? For the CEC, I went out and made the purchase and then was reimbursed through CEC.
So the need typically exceeds the level of funding, and back to you. If it does, you'll probably direct them to some other resource. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Because if there was a need that we saw and we recognized that's something that needed to be addressed, we would do whatever we could to help that student or that family.
Good.
Allison, let me pose a question that may be a little unique and it may not be possible. But does the Center Township trustee ever get engaged, or traditionally have they gotten engaged with the schools? And I don't know the answer to that.
I would say yes, because I know Kay Walker, and she's been very involved in the community. And she's also involved through Center Township. They have that Hearts and Hands United that does a number of different things. And so, yes, there is a relationship.
The reason I ask is the trustees' budget, going back, 100 years by statute, has a relief line item. And it used to be, traditionally used to buy some fuel oil or rent relief for a period of time. Has there ever been a foray into assistance to students?
Not to my knowledge, but I do feel like my relationship with Kay or the trustee's office is strong enough that if I thought there was something that she could help with, and she just knows so many people throughout the community, that even if there was one that I didn't recognize, Kay may be able to say, hey, if you talk to this person or if you go to this agency.
Okay, so you're well situated to explore that option if.
Hopefully, so.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry to interrupt.
It's nice to know that I'm not in this by myself. So I know I have lots of community opportunities to connect with people, so. Center Township being one of those. Okay, so in December was a lot of fun, even though we were only in school for a short period of time. But I was able to work with the local firefighters and connect our firefighters Toys for Tots program with all of our elementary schools and the middle schools, so that if they had a family that maybe needed some additional assistance, they were able to apply for that assistance through Toys for Tots. And we had volunteers that were able to help come out, and we decorated and prepared for things for the community sing that was back live this year and at the field house, so that was a fun event. And on December 5th, we worked with, that was the day of our DEAR volunteer program, so we worked with the Ball State School of Journalism, and we brought, I don't remember the total count, but we had quite a few volunteers, and we did a book giveaway that same day. So all the kids were able to go and have a book that they could take home. And that was thanks to 812 Coalition, United Way, and the School of Journalism. And then December 9th, this was a lot of fun. December 9th, Ball State gave our students the opportunity to attend the Nutcracker that was performed at Emmons Auditorium. So I helped Dr. Reynolds, and we organized transportation and the logistics of getting 1,300 Muncie School students and staff to Emmons, and it worked out very well. So it was a very fun day. My favorite quote of the day was a third grader said, "This is the best field trip I've had since kindergarten." I started thinking about it. I'm pretty sure that with COVID, this is the only field trip. But I took it as a win anyway. And then we went into the holiday break. So January, I have been busy organizing a wellness fair for our employees. I currently have 26 different community organizations that are going to be there to share information about wellness for our teachers and employees. So that's tomorrow. You should have received an email and a flyer from me inviting you to just take an opportunity to come and check in with our teachers. I've really tried to make this event so that it's about the teacher as an individual. I know that their profession is going to become part of those conversations and that those opportunities to talk about field trips may happen. But I really want our teachers to know that we care about them and their well-being as a person. And so the organizations that are going to be there, so for example, Cornerstone, they can talk about art classes for students, but they can also talk about classes that maybe our teachers would be interested for their own interest and hobbies. And I have a really nice, a lot of diversity within the different organizations that are going to be there. We're going to have health coaches there, people talking about nutrition. We'll have people talking about health screenings and the importance of keeping your regular doctor visits. So, and I have a lot of really nice and fun door prizes, 2 of those being 2 $250 classroom supply reimbursement for our teachers. So, and a Fitbit. We're giving away a Fitbit.
And I do need to say George and Francis Ball Foundation.
George and Francis, so that's actually, the
200.
Fitbit's actually from Voice Systems. And then George and Francis Ball Foundation is actually putting together a different gift basket, so.
House plants. Did you know
And we
that?
are doing plants, so people can
200.
come and
Wow.
get a plant. Yes, so we have lots of good stuff, so. And we'll have cookies.
And a wellness
So there you
fair.
go, we have cookies.
That works. Made out of carrots. Yeah. Carrot.
So some of the volunteer opportunities that we have currently. So we do have, I think I said over 200 last time. So we're up to over 500 volunteers. That number can be a little tricky because sometimes that may include a parent who signed up to go on a field trip. And so those parents may be very limited into the services that they want to provide. But that number also includes some of our church partnerships, the people who go in on a regular basis. So whenever I have a request that comes in from a school or a teacher, then I kind of comb through this volunteer database and I try to find somebody that can meet the need to address whatever issue the school may have. Like, for example, I know Mrs. Snyder's looking for some volunteers for an upcoming dance at Central, so we'll be working on that. We are wanting more volunteers for our DEER program, so if anybody has an interest and maybe you would want to take a half hour before you had to be to work, you could come and go to Southview and read to one of our students. We are working with church partners to be more intentional with our volunteer opportunities. We're wanting to make sure that our volunteers are there and that they feel value in the time that they spend there, that they are making those relationships with our teachers and our students, and that also that all of the goals that we are working toward align with the district goals. And so focusing on literacy, math, academics, absenteeism possibly. And then we are also working, this is something that I'm very excited about, and I realize I actually have a spelling error in there, but we are working with George and Francis Ball Foundation to build what we're calling the A-Team. And the A-Team is going to be a support system for our teachers because we recognize that our teachers, their job is hard and it can require a lot of them, and we want them to know that they are supported. And so we are working with different community organizations to give them an opportunity to come into our schools to just say to our teachers, and this would be something that I would organize maybe once a month. We would host something at one of the schools. Whoever from the A-Team wanted to go to that event could go, and maybe it's take some sort of a treat to the teachers, or they also want to make sure that the teachers have a voice and they could say, what is something that would make your day better as a teacher, make your week better? And then we would look to the community to try to meet those needs for our teachers so that they feel valued and supported. The A-Team will be making their first appearance tomorrow at the Wellness Fair. Like I did last time, my job kind of falls into things like CEC volunteerism and wellness. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about the CEC. Our next meeting is going to be January 19th. We actually just did a change of location as of today. We were originally supposed to meet at Southview, but now we are going to be meeting at the Oakwood, the Office of Community Engagement, because they have their new, don't know the exact title, but Delana, the lady who is taking Delana's position. So we will be meeting with Kelly Huth, to bring her and to share with her all the things that we're working on with the Community Engagement Council. So the Community Engagement Council had the opportunity, they came out to the Fall Festival, they participated in the community scene prep, they are helping with the wellness fair, and they are also helping me to recruit more volunteers throughout the community. So I'm looking for opportunities to speak to groups, like I'm going to be speaking with Altrusa later this month. So if you know an organization that might be interested in learning more about opportunities to serve our schools, just let me know and I'd be happy to make those arrangements. Also for our golf outing, I think I'd already shared, we raised over $4,000, and I have a sample of the door hanger that we are purchasing. So this is what the door hanger will look like. They've already been sent to print. Hope to pick those up very soon. They're dual language, and also if we would have a family that needed even a different language, I will work with Kelsey Pavelka to make sure that we get the proper translation for that. So this is an opportunity for the schools to try to connect with the family. So it's not to go out to punish or to talk about consequences, but it's more to connect and say, you know, why is your student not at school? Is there something that we can do to help you? So I think the schools are looking forward to having a more official piece that they can take out, leave a business card with it, because it's going to have a placement for business cards so they can leave contact information. And then also, these are the 3 different cans that I participate in, the 3rd grade reading. Again, just making sure that our volunteers are aligning with opportunities to promote 3rd grade reading. Also working to promote events for family and community engagement. I'm going to be working with Second Harvest. Second Harvest does the big idea every month in our schools. So we're going to work on making those more of an opportunity for people to come into the schools and maybe learn an activity that they could do with their student at home or get information from other community resources. And then the health can has not officially met, but I am part of the Healthy Communities Alliance, and there's a number of different initiatives that I've been trying to help support them in connecting with our schools. Those are some of the wellness initiatives that we've done over the last few months. I think I mentioned that we did the walking challenge. We have the wellness fair coming up. And I'm still collecting results. After the wellness fair will be my final push for the wellness survey to ask our teachers and employees what are the things as far as wellness that they are interested in getting more information about. Or if I were to organize a group, would they be interested in a running club, a walking group, and just getting that information so that we can meet their needs. So then ideas moving forward. One of the things that I'm going to be working on after I get through tomorrow's event is creating an eco map for the district and looking at all the resources that come into our schools and then taking a big picture look at that to see what needs maybe are lacking in some of the schools. So some of our schools may have a lot of opportunities for after school programs, tutoring, maybe they have a really strong church partnership. Not all of our schools have those church partnerships. So then that's going to give us an idea of what schools are in need of additional support. And along those same lines, I will be meeting with Tracy Lutton later this week to talk about building better relationships with businesses in the community. And I would like to see a similar model that we have with our church partnerships. It would probably look a little bit different, but wanting our businesses to possibly cultivate relationships with our schools so that they could be there to meet our teachers, meet our students, and just realize that we're all in this together. So,
And an opportunity to discuss childcare, pre-K.
would I have an opportunity?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if obviously it'd be a process, but meeting with businesses, I know that that's gonna be part of the discussion with the CAN on pre-K.
Oh, absolutely, right.
Is looping our employers into supporting
Knowing the
high quality-
importance
Yeah,
of,
high-quality
yes,
pre-K for
yes,
their kids,
Yes.
kids of their employees.
yes. And I think that cultivating that A-team is just gonna build on that also, because the A-team's coming from the CANs and the whole Cradle to Career, and George and Francis Ball Foundation is really wanting to make that logo and that idea more visible to the community, so that when people see the different little circles, then they know, Cradle to Career, that we have resources in our community to help our families. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Allison. Any questions for Mrs. Quirk? Yes, nice work. I talked to Dr. K last week. I know that you are going to potentially be reaching out to board members and others about regular volunteer opportunities in the schools. Please don't hesitate to do that.
I would love to help you get into the schools, so,
Okay.
yep.
Any additional questions? Thank you very much. Okay, diversity report.
Good afternoon, President Williams and members of the board. I thought it would be very appropriate to share the January quote with you, since we are honoring Dr. King himself on this month. The diversity quote says, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." So again, just thought it was very befitting since this is MLK month. And one thing I did different this year was I recognized National Hispanic Heritage Month. That was observed September 15th through October 15th. And so I pushed out 5 quotes to our administrators, and they were able to use theirs however they saw fit in their buildings and with their teachers. So that's something that I'm going to try to do as much as I can, is try to include other nationalities or ethnic groups when it comes to, celebrating them. Also, here is a picture of our MEC group. Once we got started, we got off to a great start. MEC is Minority Educators Council, and so we call it MEC for short. But we had an awesome mixer back in the fall. We had some awesome sports sponsors as well. Yolanda Taylor from the Holiday Inn Express, she hosted us there. And then we had the NAACP Muncie branch to sponsor our meal. Had a good turnout, as you can see. And what I did at our mixer, I put together a survey that consisted of about 4 questions. And one of the questions on the survey for the MEC teachers was, what would you like to see our group become? What are some things that you would like for us to do? I try to stress to them, this is not my group, but it's all of our group. And we are serving as a resource to not only each other, but also to our teachers, to help our teachers and to help our students. And I'll just share a couple of those ideas that came out of that meeting with you. One idea was to pair up with other students in the buildings and mentor some of our students who may not have that extra support from home. It could be maybe attend a basketball game or attend a choir concert, or just pat them on the back and say, good job on that spelling test. Also, we came up with an idea of maybe having a book club, us coming together and discussing a book. Also, pairing up with other minority teachers from Ball State. And speaking of Ball State has a Black Faculty Staff Association, which is kind of similar to our MEC group. And so a few of us went to that meeting that they had, one of the meetings they had back in the fall. And it was really neat to meet some of the faculty and staff from Ball State and to kind of listen to some of the ideas that they have on their campus and some of the things that they are doing. So we're going to kind of piggyback off of some of those ideas, and I thought it would be a good way to kind of start forming relationships with some of those folks out there so that maybe we can meet some of the teachers, some of those education majors, and some of those kids that are maybe wanting to stay in the area, hopefully, right, Dr. Bell? And they can come on board and become part of our family. So those are a couple of the ideas that I had in mind. Another idea was a MEC ensemble. And so that's something that has already started off and gotten to fruition, I guess I should say. And if you are going to be at our the MLK Day breakfast coming up on Monday, you will get to hear some of the MEC teachers. We have formed an ensemble, and so we've got some really good teachers in there who are singers as well and musically inclined, and so we are going to perform at the breakfast, so we're looking very forward to that. Also, kind of switch over into our diverse cats and our HBCU students. These are pictures of us at the movie Teal. We took a group to see that movie, and I always like to kind of prepare the students for what they are going to witness and see. And so we put together some questions. We talked about Emmett Till himself, the life of Emmett Till, and that whole movement in history and in time. The students were very, very interested in it. Some of them had never heard of Emmett Till before, so it was interesting to hear their conversations and to hear some of the questions that they had. So we tried to prep them before we went to see the movie. And we combined diverse cats as well as HBCU students. And so there's a couple of pictures of those.
Just curiosity, how many students did we have attend the movie?
Oh gosh, probably 10 to 12. 10 to 12, I think. A few more, maybe 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the reaction?
Ooh. When we got back, we debriefed at the next Diverse Cats meeting, an HBCU meeting, and they were just really, really taken by some of the things that had occurred in the movie. And they went home, talked to their parents about it and family members about it, had good discussions about it, but they were really, really shocked at the reactions of some of those in the movie. And yeah, it was good discussion in our group from both Diverse Cats and the HBCU students. We had some very good discussion. And like I said, prior to, we were asking questions, you know. It's, of course, we know the story. Those of us who are adults kind of knew the story. And so we were kind of letting them know kind of what to expect without giving it away. We asked questions beforehand, and then afterwards, we opened it up and said, hey, what are your thoughts? What are your reactions? And so they didn't hesitate to tell us what
Did they
they
see,
were thinking.
did you share with the students digital copy of the Jet magazine from that time?
No. We just shared pictures
Yeah.
from the
And I
internet, what we got.
just curious, you know, that when history gets lost, it loses its impact. And I'm happy to hear.
Yeah. They were very attentive. A couple even said they cried, you know, during
Yeah,
certain
well, it's
scenes.
incredibly powerful.
Yeah. Very
Sad.
much so.
So, thank you.
Yes. Okay, this is, these are a couple of Diverse Cat students here and in class, and what you see is they are having kind of a celebration. For World Kindness Day and National Hunger and Homeless Day, the Diverse Cats, and I love that group because they are always trying to think of ways to be inclusive and to include others. And so a couple of the students said, well, why don't we come up with some type of challenge? What can we do to help those in need in the community? And so they came up with the Personal Hygiene Products Challenge. And so the goal was to challenge other groups within Central to try to collect as many personal hygiene items as they could. And so students bought in toothpaste, they bought in body wash. I mean, any of those products that they felt could help those who are in need. And so these are the students who won and collected the most items. And so I teamed up with Mrs. Quirk, and she was able to take the products to 812 Coalition, and that they were going to give them to Avondale Church. So we partnered up with them, and they were very, very happy to receive some of those hygiene products that people are always in need of, especially those without those resources to get those. Here you see, December 3rd, we recognize International Day of Persons with Disabilities. And so another idea from Diverse Cats, once again, is they wanted to do something with our special needs students. And so they decided to partner again with the HBCU students, and they made homemade Christmas cards. And they attached candy canes to those, and then we went around throughout the buildings and we made deliveries to our special needs students. And it was just priceless to see the smiles on their faces when we walked into the classrooms and gave them a simple Christmas card with a candy cane attached to it. So those students really, really appreciated that. And here you see students making the Christmas cards, actually making the deliveries to the different classrooms. And here is a picture of our MEC group again. As you see, we don't have as many in attendance, but a lot of people were sick on that day. People were dropping like flies on that day, not feeling well. And so we told them, we don't want you to come. I appreciate you wanting to be here, but that's okay. We'll catch you on the next one. One picture is just the MEC teachers that were able to make it. And the other picture shows our sponsors, Mr. George Foley from Taylor Technology and Cassandra Woods from K Woods Beauty. They sponsored our meal for that event. And they also stuck around and hung out with us because they were interested in hearing some of the dialogue and conversations we were having in terms of our MEC group. Shout out to the YWCA. So Latasha, we thank her for opening up her doors to us so that we could have our MEC meeting there. And then my last slide just kind of tells some of the activities and initiatives that I am busy and involved in. I have here listed the MLK Youth Citizenship Awards, which I've been working really hard. I am the chair of our citizenship team committee for the MLK Dream Team. And so every year we are excited to recognize over 130 kids. This year we're going to honor 123 to be exact. And so these are K through 12 students who are recognized not for academics so much, but for their citizenship and just being an overall good person, helping their classmates, making good decisions when no one else is watching or when there's a group of people around and everybody is doing the wrong thing. So just being overall good citizens. Our principals and our teachers, they nominate those students based on those characteristics. So you don't have to have straight A's or good grades, just be a good person. So we really appreciate our students for working hard at that. Also, we have the MLK breakfast coming up on MLK Day, where we will honor the top academic seniors from around the county and as well as the city. Of course, Muncie Central students will be recognized. And by the way, we have the highest GPA out of all of the students that will be recognized. The county schools will be there, including Yorktown, Cowan, Delville, Wapahani, Delta. All those guys and folks will be there as well. So we're really looking forward to recognizing our students and their families on Monday. We have Black History Month kickoff coming up on February 4th, where we will honor those students who participated in the essay contest. So looking forward to that as well. Minority recruitment with BSU, I met with Dr. Susan Tancock, and she and I kind of put our heads together, tried to come up with ways that I can kind of partner up with some of those students, as I mentioned earlier, some of those education majors, students that we are really wanting to stay right here once they graduate. A couple other upcoming activities, HBCU college tours and trips. I am, again, working with the Muncie Youth Empowerment Program. We have a Black College Expo coming up in Chicago. That is an overnight trip, so I will be one of the chaperones for that trip, and we will be taking students to Chicago. They will be attending a Black College Expo fair, so looking forward to that. Diversity and equity training coming up, really looking forward to this. I will be presenting at that training on January 31st, which is our early release day. So very excited to work with the teachers and assistants on that particular day and some diversity training. I think that's all I had on my list. Yep, I think that's it. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Ward? So, coming up Black History Month,
Yeah.
February 18th will be the 58th anniversary of the James Baldwin Weymouth Buckley debate at Oxford. And that's the good, really good materials. I'm not telling you to do this, but Till reminded me. There's PBS has a nice module on it. YouTube has the entire debate. And I think those discussions continue today. But that's just one thought for Black History Month.
Okay.
That is a highbrow segue off of Till, certainly.
Absolutely.
You know, I know the subject matter is extraordinarily sensitive in that movie, but I would love for more than 15 students to see it. I don't know what we could do at Central there to facilitate that, but I think that, along with Selma, are both movies that tend to convey an important message. Any additional questions regarding diversity?
I forgot to add, Black History Month is coming up, and we will again do our decorating contest amongst all the schools. And also, I've already sent out an email to our principals to kind of share with me all the activities that are going on within the buildings. And I know we've got some really good activities coming up. So I'm looking forward to trying to get out into some of the buildings to see what they have going on.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Any additional questions? Thank you. Pastor Scaife, security update. Good evening.
Hey, President Williams and the school board. Can you guys hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Great. Well, let me see. Well, my name is Robert Scaife. I am over the security of Muncie Community Schools, and this is our company, Legacy Life Security Solutions. We are covering all 9 schools for Muncie Community Schools, and we just have a couple of things that we want to implement and want to bring you all up to speed as to where we are. Just within just the recent incidents that we've had in schools, Muncie Community Schools has been beefing up and going back and strengthening their security protocols, and been working with Chuck, and we've been to workshops, and we got some other things in place just to beef up the security of Muncie Community Schools. And so just with recent incidents around our nation and world, we want to make sure that we are safe. And so I'm trying to read that. Muncie Community Schools' priority is to ensure the safety of students and staff, and secure of the school buildings. I can't even read that. Let me. Where am I at? Okay. Regularly evaluating the security measures is necessary, so improvements can be made to procedures and protocols. As a result, one action we will take is to implement periodic security checks and locker searches at the middle school and high schools. So we just want to implement security checks and locker searches at the middle school and high schools. Just in our current climate, we've seen weapons being brought into schools, and so we want to make sure. I know you guys have probably heard of the recent one in Virginia with the 6-year-old taking a weapon to school and shooting his teacher. And so we want to make sure that we take the necessary steps to ensure the safety of all of our staffs and the security of the buildings. And so we are implementing security checks and locker searches. Security checks, they will be conducted by the building administrators, each principal, assistant principals, all the administrators in the buildings, school security, using handheld metal detectors at the school's main entrances. So we want to just put it on the school administrators. Our company will be working alongside of them in order to conduct these security checks and locker searches at each school, and we will start at the main entrances of each building. And so the steps that will be taken to conduct the searches, we're going to start at Muncie Central. I think it's 7:35. We'll start right around there, 7:30, 7:35. The doors of Muncie Central normally opens at 7:45, so we want to give ourselves a few minutes more of a window to be able to swiftly move the students through so they won't be late to class. So we want to try to start between 7:30 and 7:35, and we will use the main entrance at Muncie Central, which is door 1, and we will also use door 17, which is on the north side of the building, the parking area where the students park. They also use door 4 but we'll redirect all of those students to come either to the main entrance or door 17. The main entrance has about 6 or 7 doors, but we will only be using about 3 of those doors. We'll set up tables at each of the 3 entrances. We'll have the administrators, we'll have staff, I'll have my staff. I'll have some of them come from their buildings that they're at to come and to help us in terms of conducting the searches. And so we'll have them all at each one of the entrances. We'll make sure that we have females at entrances, because if we have to pat search a student, whether it's a male or female, we want to make sure that we have the right person checking, females checking females, males checking males. And so we're going to check all the students as they come in through those doors. We'll have the wands. We have about 8 or 9 of them at Muncie Central now. And so our staff will be trained to use those wands as they come through. They'll put their backpacks on the table. We'll have a staff or a security person checking, just opening up the backpacks. We're not going to be digging in. We're just going to look and see and feel the outside. If there's anything that feels suspicious, then they'll further investigate that. So that should go pretty swiftly. If there is indicator that somebody has something on them, we'll move them to another administrator or security, and then they'll be further checked. But we want to move them through as swiftly as possible. Once they get through undetected, they can go either to the cafeteria or they can head to their classes as they normally do. And so we'll also have SSOs outside just monitoring students, just watching suspicious behavior. And this is also just random, and the frequency will be determined by the administration and the school administrators on how often. I suggested that we do once a semester, but you all can decide if you want to do it once a year. But it will all be random, so that we, just the element of surprise, I know you all know that. If they know that we're going to be doing security checks next week, so everybody's going to be angels next week. So we do want it to be as random when we do these checks. And so those are the security checks, but then also after we do the security checks, we want to also implement locker searches. And actually Muncie Community Schools used to do this. I believe that prior to COVID, they stopped doing this, but locker searches, they would do that at the end of the year, where they would get in contact with Muncie Police Department and the Sheriff's Department, and they would come into the middle schools and the high schools. It's also random, and so the students will stay in their rooms, the doors will be shut, and the dogs will just go to each locker. They will just walk the dogs down the lockers and just do a check. They have drug sniffing dogs, and they also have bomb sniffing dogs. I'm working to figure out if the bomb sniffing dogs can also sniff if there's a weapon in a locker. I don't know if that's accurate. I was told that they're able to do that, but we want to have both the drug sniffing dogs and the bomb sniffing dogs just going down there and just hitting each locker. If they indicate that there is a drug or a weapon, the dogs normally will sit at the locker just to let them know that that might be a suspicious locker. And so, but we want to implement just the locker searches as well. That'll be, the frequency will be up to the administration as well as the school administrators. And so we just want to be a part of that to continue to boost up the security and the safety of the students, the staff, and each one of our buildings. So that's all I have. Are there any questions or comments?
So as I understand the proposal, it is that we will, through the administration, on a random basis, utilize the wanding devices that were provided by the state of Indiana through Governor Holcomb's initiative a few years ago, whereby we implement, again, a random search as a proactive measure. You mentioned the incidents around the country, specifically the incident in Virginia.
Yes.
And that along with that, there would continue to be the possibility of having locker searches with K-9 units that on a random basis. And we're expecting that this would not cause any disruption to the educational process. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay. And this is also consistent with what's occurring at districts around the nation, is my understanding.
Yes, absolutely.
And specifically, the wanding devices were provided by the State Department of Education.
Yes.
And I'm assuming, Dr. Kay, that we've had this vetted by council?
Yes.
Okay. And is the administration's recommendation to move forward with it?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
I'm just,
What does that look like for parents? Maybe you just send something out in general that says, hey, this is something that will take place?
Yeah.
Never, you don't tell them, but like.
We don't want this to be a got you. I mean, this is
Right.
really being proactive. And so we will put out some correspondence that, this was presented at the board meeting and this semester, these type of things will happen to be proactive. So letting people know that this will take place, but not saying what day. Yes.
And then following up, we will have communication that'll be ready to go
After it
after
occurs.
the.
Right.
Okay.
And not only for parents, we really want our students to understand that as well.
and I'm curious, might be an odd question, but when you do the search with the dogs and they stop, you identify a locker, do you search or do you pull the student out of class? I'm kind of curious to
We'll
be there
search.
when you open the door.
Yeah, we'll search we normally search the lockers first, and if they find anything, then
Then they go find it.
then they'll grab the student.
Any additional questions?
Yeah, I'm just curious about the frequency and if this is a public thing in terms of, okay, we're going to do this maybe once a semester or once a year, whatever we decide upon. If the purpose is, as I assume part of it is a deterrent,
Yes.
but once the search has happened, what's the implications of that as far as if we say, okay, we're going to do this once a year and it, unless we do it the last day of the year.
I think we've
discussed
discussed the possibility and the likelihood of leaving it to the discretion of administration in concert with or consultation with Legacy, determining that it would happen at least once,
A minimum.
a minimum, and that there would be the ability, depending on whatever administration or Legacy deemed appropriate in consultation with each other, to do it more often. So there's no check mark and you're out.
Okay.
So some things, we're gonna learn a lot from this first. One will be how long this really takes, right? We don't want it to be like, you see going into some sporting events that people are lined up for
Yeah.
a long time.
considerable amount.
We don't want that to be occurring also. So I think that we'll learn from this and adjust and keep getting better with it.
Okay, sure.
You don't want it to be like Hogan's Heroes.
No, we don't.
So,
Jim, comment, one thing I think will be so important is the way that this is communicated to the public as well, because it's so important. This really is a proactive type thing, but it could be so very easily spun as reactive to problems we're having, which it is not. So I think somehow if we communicate that this is board policy to be proactive, to make the schools as safe as they possibly can be, it's just, I think, really important that it not convey that it's an armed fortress, or that it convey that there's problems. It's that we are trying to be on top of things and being ahead of things to make the schools safe and secure for all the students and the faculty and everyone that goes. I don't know how we go about that. I know Andy's the expert, but to me, the fact that we're ahead of the curve is really important and really significant, and that we're doing everything we can to keep people safe.
Yeah, I think, Robert, you allude to what we've seen around the country, and it's good policy. It's consistent with what the governor desired when the wands were provided, then COVID intervened. And I think a lot of corporations who received those wands have not yet made use of them. So I'm pleased that we're doing so. And again, in a proactive manner.
Yes.
Would add, and you can tell me, but what I'm hearing anecdotally from our buildings is that they're very pleased with the atmosphere this year.
Yes.
So thank you for you and your folks' contribution to that. I've heard that from almost every building. So.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and we're just, and as to your question, I just really believe that, we're just doing what everybody else is doing around the country. This is something that we're faced with, and so we're just taking the necessary steps and letting the parents know this is what we're doing. I think that they will appreciate, and just to know that their schools are safe and will continue to be safe. And these are just not, just deterrents. Just to let people know, you don't know the frequency of it, but, at any time we can be checking. And then we also still have the resources, the equipment at the school. If we do suspect something, we can always still check. And so I just think that this is just a safety measure. And I think the parents and families in the community will take it very well. They will be appreciative of our stances. And I do want to echo, Muncie Community Schools is not a dangerous district at all. I've been in every one of the schools. I'm in every one of the schools every week, and I'm telling you, those buildings, those students, yeah, we have our challenges with behavior, but it's not like people think. It's not Beirut or anything like that. And so, but we have a great school district, administration, administrators, and I'm just happy with where we are now. I'm satisfied. I have family in an elementary, middle school, and high school, and so, and I'm confident that they are safe. And so, this is just something that we want to do to help with the security measures.
So, I would, for purposes of moving forward for the administration, I would ask the board to consider a motion that approves the proposal to move forward, that responsibility for implementation and frequency be delegated to the administration and leadership in consultation with Legacy.
I'd make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Thank you, Robert.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your work. Dr. K.
Well, good evening. I have a few updates. I'm just going to echo again. Tomorrow is our wellness fair, and I really encourage all of you to be able to stop by if you're available and I sent a message out to our teachers and our staff today because I know that it will be well worth their time. And so I appreciate the community involvement and so many people coming together to support our teachers. I think that's an exciting time. We also then this weekend with the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. events that will take place. I've been out and about, and it's amazing how many different parents are coming up to me and saying, hey, my child won this award, and Saturday morning we're going to be able to go and they're going to get recognized. And I keep saying, I'll see you, I'm going to be there. So it really means so much to parents for their child to get that. So Rhonda, I don't know if you realize how many parents, what that means to families, but that's a very special time for them. So thank you. And then Monday, honoring our top seniors, that's always an exciting time as well. Our administrative team, our instructional administrative team, will begin our process that we call process checks, where we go into our buildings and we spend the day meeting with all of our teachers. For elementary, it will be typically by grade level. At the high school level, it may be by when their breaks, when they have their prep time. That's one way for us to hear how things are going with strategies in our strategic plan, as well as to be able to hear ideas that staff may have or any concerns, because we really want our schools to be the best place to be able to work. And so hearing from our teachers is always a good time for us. Long days, we're not used to sitting all day long. But next week I was like, oh, it's a killer. Every day I'll be sitting all day, but it's good information. And then, when we hear Allison trying to get volunteers into our schools, I started thinking, we have a responsibility from our office to make sure we're giving to our schools as well. And so we're working on our administrative office, meaning our administrative team and our assistants. We're going to volunteer during workday, so I don't know if it's really volunteer, but we're going to give 1 hour every week where we're going to be specifically working with third grade students. We have IRE 3 coming up in March. Some of our students aren't where they need to be yet. And so we're going to give some extra assistance, and we're going to go in and work with them, and we're going to help our schools try to get those students up and going. And so typically for IRE 3, there's the phonics aspect, the nonfiction text, and the fiction text. So our teachers will prepare materials for us. So it will be very targeted with what students need. And so I've asked Allison to help coordinate. Principals are working on the students, and then we'll have the people here identify the times that work best for them, and she's going to match people up. It will be a little date game for who we're going to get matched with, and we'll be able to work with them. And we'll do a training with our staff. We have people in the business office that they may not be trained to work with kids, so just like our volunteers, we'll want to prep them up. And so what we try to do may be something we can replicate with other volunteers coming in then. So we're excited to get started. We hope next week is the week we'll organize, and the week after we'll be implementing. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was, let's see, I think I have one more. Yes, the end of January, Chuck's been working with Steve Belko, who's with the Indiana Department of Education, the Office of Security, and he reviewed all of our safety plans and gave great feedback, had a few suggestions, and we quickly implemented his suggestions, and he's sending certificates showing that, they feel that we have good plans in place. And he is going to come out at the end of January with Chuck and with Robert to do walkthroughs in our schools to then, again, assess what they're like when he's there and to give us some suggestions. So we appreciate the support from the Department of Education and working with us on school security.
Okay, so DOE has certified us is in compliance. Is that right?
with our security plans.
With our security plan.
And it's really all, again, they're being proactive. It's not something that you have to send to them, but if you want to send them your plans, they'll give you feedback. And
Okay.
so we just opted to get.
No, absolutely.
Yes,
And so when we get those in, let's
celebrate.
report those out. Okay, thanks. Anything else?
That's
Dr. Kay? Any questions for Dr. Kay? Okay, thank you. Any public comments? No, okay. We're under our consent agenda. We have items 5.01 through 5.05. Any questions regarding those? Hearing no questions, we'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Have a motion? And a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Mr. Jerome, the financial report.
Thank you. Presented in your board packet tonight was your December 2022, your 12-month actual results financial report for the whole year of 2022. So always happy to report good financial results. We did receive $42.4 million of state basic grant revenue. Some of that was broken down in our payroll for the whole year, $29.8 million, just slightly above the $27.5 million from payroll the year before. That was up based on raises and pandemic stipend. The other good part about the year that we just finished is we finished with a $39.3 million all funds cash balance in our checkbook. That's obviously grown over the years. The trend is up. So that grew by $3.4 million for the overall funds. Just looking at the education fund by itself, that finished at $15.1 million. That's growth of $1.3 million of positive cash flow. Our state loan outstanding, that's now down to $10.5 million. That at one time, of course, was $12 million. So we have now paid $1.5 million towards that. We did receive our final installment of property taxes at the end of December. We received $10.9 million for the whole year, so that's right at 51% of the levy. We finished the end of the year with the rainy day fund of over almost $13.4 million. So once again, we were able to continue to grow rainy day fund, education fund, the overall checkbook balance as well. So those were all positive things to report. We did live within our appropriations on the education fund, debt service fund, and operation fund. The operation fund was the one we were very concerned about, as we finished right at $12.6 million in spending, because that was all that we were able to spend there. And we did offset some spending in normal operation items in rainy day. As we look forward to 2023, the 2023 budget that was approved did cut spending for Operation Fund down to $10.2 million. So that's a rather large decrease, but that was just because the way the property taxes will be allocated and between our spending between debt service fund and operation fund. We do have a plan on how we will handle that for 1 year, and mostly that's all through the offset against rainy day. We have to pay our balloon payments on our long-term debt in 2023. We knew that was coming, and so we'll be paying a little over $12 million in our long-term debt to finish that off. The 2014 GO bonds all come due, and those could not be refinanced. So have spent a lot of time with the DLGF auditor going through that process in the month of December and then the first week of January, making sure that our budget's going to be right, as well as we do have a plan for how to handle the additional appropriations that we'll need later this year. So that really by itself, as you see, there's many graphs there that I just like to show you that the trend is up. And I know we'll cover that a little bit when we have our Board of Finance meeting at the tail end of this meeting. But it's always good to report, how are you trending? Because now there's no more estimates here. This is 12 months. It's actual results. You're trending up on your cash flow. You're trending up on your cash balances. And that's probably the one big takeaway to be able to give to the school board. Biggest wild card, of course, sometimes is the tax cap. That's always there. That's trending up too, of course, and we only received 51% is what we collected on the levy. And I had a graph there that you saw what we have collected over the last 5 or 6 years. So that's just something we have to live with in our district, but it's still the pressure of what we have to do in the operation fund, because it doesn't allow us sometimes to do, when you have cutbacks in your operation fund, you just sometimes can't do all the things you need to do. And that's why you still have to entertain the notion of doing the bond issues. The bond issues like we did this last year, and still have phase 2 and phase 3 to go to do some additional bond work for capital spending throughout the district. So it'll make it tight in spending, but that's going to be our plan in the operation fund for this year.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Durham? I want to thank you on behalf of the board for the work you do and the report you bring us every month. This is, I know that change on the operations fund for next year is I would say significant. And so to have a plan in place to address it, thank you to all of you for.
Well, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. And also, I could not do it alone. We'll continue to help with the Baker Tilly folks to help us plan for some of those things as well. So,
okay. Is there anything you need from the board at this point other than?
No, not for that particular report.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Would entertain a motion to approve the financial report.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we have the property casualty, workers' comp, and cyber insurance renewal.
Yeah, thank you. Also presented in your board packet was the renewal for the property casualty, workers' comp, and cyber insurance. For those of you who have really keen memories from a year ago at this time, they had reduced their overall premiums by about $59,000. This year it increases by $60,000. And that's really the primary increase was in workers' comp. That's gone up $30,000, as well as they've increased our overall values of all our property in the district. That is a function of inflation. That's where they went this year. So they're saying you can't have replacement insurance without probably increasing some of your values. So we challenged ourselves on some of that to say, is that really the case on some of the buildings that we have? But they look at it as if you have a total loss where the building disappears, you would be replacing it at a replacement value. So that's why it's gone up. I guess in a way we're fortunate. It only went up $60,000, but a year ago we were celebrating because it went down 59. So this year we give it all back. So
So why do we have inland marine coverage?
That
We have like a navigable waterway running
I was
through.
gonna say, is there a beach around here I'm not aware of?
Yeah, and I wish I had a really, I wish I had a really snappy answer for you for that one. It's not because of a boat dock or anything.
Where's the MCS Navy deploying to?
Yeah, I know. It's an $1,800 component. It's an $1,800. I will make sure I get you that specific answer of what our inland marine covers. It's not what you think. Okay.
Well, it is, for those watching at home, it suggests an inland seagoing Navy.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. So, in any event, was happy that the folks at USI Insurance Agency were able to give me these competitive quotes from the different companies. Unfortunately, when there's a big loss of the hurricanes, it does affect the insurance market because there's only so many large insurance brokers or insurance companies. So that didn't bode well for us when we saw those losses that happened in Florida. So
Did we have a number of workers' comp claims this past year?
we did. Our loss mod is now up to 1.8. And normally, when you think of workers' comp, the loss mod should be 1.0, so that's considered average, if you can be 1.0. So we have seen it grow 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and it's all due to claims. So as we enter this new year, they will continue to reach out with their loss control specialists to say, why is it up? Why is it up, and what can we do to reduce it? So
this covers our employees, not those of SCO, right?
that is correct. This is our workers' comp for our MCS employees. They're on their own workers' comp for the Chartwells, Auxilio, and SSC.
Okay.
A lot of slips and falls, unfortunately. That's the primary driver of the workers' comp.
Okay. Any questions regarding the quote? Other than the ones that have been asked?
Move approval.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Thank you. Education to Operation Fund transfer.
Yeah, this is our boilerplate transfer. I'm asking the school board permission to transfer no more than 15% of the total revenue in the total education fund for the year 2023.
This is consistent with what we've done in every prior year. Any questions regarding this resolution? If not, would entertain a motion to approve it. Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. We have curriculum adoption, EL. Dr. Reynolds?
Yes, thank you. Since Mrs. Pavelka has been on board as our Director of English Learners and EL teacher, she's been collaborating with the EL team and reviewing our current EL resources and also looking at what other EL options and resources are available to us. Currently, most of the resources utilized in the classrooms for our EL students are teacher created or carry over from some previous adoptions. So what Kelsey and the team did is they reviewed a number of resources and are recommending that we move with Amplified K-5 Literacy as our resource for our English language learners. Just a quick note, it's built on the science of reading and combines a cross-curricular approach to literacy where they focus on literacy skills through the use of science and social studies that are also diverse. So we're really excited about having a nice consistent resource across, I hate to say grade levels because it's really, we meet the students where they are. So it's not necessarily, this is the first grade, it's based on levels that is based on where that student's needs are. So I'm asking for approval for adoption and purchase of these resources from Amplify.
Any questions regarding the curriculum proposal?
How many EL students do we have?
Well, we have grown tremendously over the last couple of years. I want to say it's almost 200.
In these, we're purchasing like 380 of each level. Did I read that right?
It's really 60 at each level for 6 years. So they're digital resources and reusable resources. So we had my question. Yeah, so we had that. We did 60. I believe it was 60 of each for 6 years.
And some of this is dual language. We'll be able to access some of this as well.
And is this the type of expense that just comes out of our regular budget?
So again, great question. Kelsey secured a grant that is covering
Awesome.
the expense for this.
That's awesome.
That's terrific.
Great.
Okay. Well, that makes this relatively straightforward.
Yeah, move approval.
Dr. Reynolds saved that to last. He goes, oh, by the way, you don't have to write a check for this. So we have a motion and I think a second. So did you get a second? Okay. I know it was down there somewhere. Let's call it a half second for Brittany and a half second for
Brittany was this motion.
all those in favor signify by
Aye. Aye.
Post same sign. Okay, show that passed. Okay, we are on to our, we need to step aside from this meeting for a moment, and we need to commence a Board of Finance meeting. And we need to elect a president and a secretary of the School Board of Finance. So we need to call to order our Board of Finance. Is that accurate?
That is correct. Appoint a Board of Finance president and a secretary to conduct the meeting, receive information as the Muncie Community School Board of Finance. As per statute, the Board of Finance is required to meet annually, one time a year. At the time, the board will receive the investment report and any other pertinent financial information to consider for the Muncie Community School Corporation.
Okay, so I will, in a ceremonial function, call us to order. And then, since I will not have the gavel at this point, I will nominate, let's see, Mr. Heater to be the president. Do I hear a second?
Second.
As long as we don't need 15 votes, I'm gonna feel pretty good.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll name Mr. Heater the president of the Board of Finance.
There you go, so.
So we need a secretary.
We get.
I nominate Mr. Irvin to be the secretary of the Board of Finance.
Second.
Oh, I hear a second. We're going to close up nominations? Okay. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. And I don't mean to suggest for an instant that these two guys are the only ones that understand finance here. They were the first two that came to my vision. Okay, we have a president and a secretary. So
Thank you.
we can now receive information.
We'll receive the information, which I've also included
I'm
in the
really
board
excited.
packet. The primary thing to report, that I'm happy to report, is when I look at our annual interest earned for the district this past year, we received over $312,000 in interest, which is, you're asking, Brad, how did you do that? You know, what kind of crazy investments? Well, we don't do crazy investments here. We keep them in our normal bank accounts, but because the inflation rate, interest rates went up, our regular checking account rates went up, and we're receiving the benefit of that. So we're very happy to report that because the year before, 2021, was just a little over 62,000. If we look for the future of 2023 here, I would imagine it's going to stay a little bit like it is right now. I don't see the rates going back down to zero, but there was a time the rates were barely over 0% in our normal checkbook. So very, very pleased to report it. Where does that money go? It goes into our operation fund. That's the fund that needs the most, and that's where it always goes. So that's a big help, certainly. Also, information I'd like to report, of which I've already mentioned that to you, is the cash balance of a little over $39.3 million. You see the trend there. The trend is up. It's risen over $28 million since 2018. It tracks the same way with the education fund cash balance, now at a little over $15.1 million. And you can see where that started back in my list there from 2017, which was minus $9 million. Our long-term debt, which I had mentioned, we've continued to pay per the amortization schedule of a little over $50,000 a month, and we have continued to do that. That long-term debt will be paid by the end of 2028. Our outstanding balance on that state loan is $10.5 million. It carries zero interest. It is not paid out of the debt service fund. It's not affected by the tax rate. It is deducted from our state basic grant when they pass our money to us each month. The rainy day fund, I list that, $13.3 million is where it's at right now. I'll have a more full report for you on the outstanding checks later this month or next month. I did run that report later today. It's a little over $44,000 of voided checks. I'm not asking to void those tonight. We'll do that at an action item later on. So that concludes my report for the Board of Finance.
Just a question, though. Is all of our cash does not sit in a single account, right?
It does not sit in a single account.
So we have a money market, or at least we have.
It sits among different banks, and then in the different banks, we have it invested in different ways.
Okay.
So it's not just one thing.
So do we have we had the opportunity to negotiate any of those rates?
Not recently, I have not.
Okay. It might be worth it. Sure.
So to your question, Dave, are we limited by state statute to how we can invest? So can you go into CDs, for example, money markets?
Yeah,
I
I don't
can
think
do
we can
CDs.
use any equity investments.
No,
Yeah, I
or
cannot.
But any kind of traditional, non-principal risk. I mean, we're over FDIC insurance, so we can parcel that out. I mean,
Right.
different institutions can do that if we were
Right.
really concerned about that. We also have what's called the PDIF in Indiana, which is the Public Depository Institution Fund, which stands behind a financial institution's deposits of public money, which is, we're one of the few states in the country that has that, which is, I think it eliminates the risk of having consolidated deposits, but we're at a time right now where rates are significantly higher, and if we have $15 or $20 million that we really don't expect to use as in terms of cash flow, there's some places we can probably put that can help our operations fund. So I would just encourage you to do that.
Okay. Sure.
I think we appointed the right president.
Thank you.
Mr. President, are you,
So we probably need a motion to accept the report of information from finance, and I'd entertain that motion.
I'd move to accept the Board of Finance's report.
Any further discussion or questions for Brad? If not, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Secretary, did you record all that? Is that-
I'm writing fast.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the finance meeting.
I'd move to adjourn the Finance Committee meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So we will reconvene our school board meeting. And appreciate the work. I want to thank the president and the secretary
Thank you.
for their contributions.
You're welcome.
Tough duty, but glad to do it.
You're sweating there for a minute.
We're on to dialogue of the board, future recommendations. I don't have anything.
Where is the wellness fair tomorrow?
At Central.
Central.
At Central. 3 o'clock?
3:30, but
3:30 to 5:30. Okay, well, I'm hoping to squeeze it in, so
And
3:30
that's
to 5:30.
Thursday, right?
pardon me?
It's Thursday, right?
No,
It's tomorrow.
Wednesday.
It's tomorrow, the 11th?
Thursday is the dinner for the
Yeah.
the civics grant.
Create.
That's next Thursday. Oh, disregard.
Who's on first?
Okay.
So it's tomorrow.
So can we tell me, I heard as a parent just that the football field and the drive will be blocked because they're going to start. They're starting. Yes.
Terry blocked it today.
Blocked it today.
Yep, they put up the fence, today, our construction fence, with core construction. And, that level of demo, that fence will probably be up for a good number of months here to work up towards August 1st. So obviously the weather's been good. They'll get started as soon as they can. And, yeah, that's happening, so.
It's exciting.
It's going to be a sad day, though. A
Phase
lot of
one.
history there.
Yeah.
We were talking about that.
Phase one.
Exciting, but
Phase
sad.
one of several phases.
Anything additional before we proceed? Anybody have anything additional? Thank you all. Welcome back. Thank you for all the reports this evening. I appreciate that. No media inquiry? Okay. Would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
I will not be here next meeting.
Okay. Anybody else out of town next week or next couple weeks? Okay.
Are you somewhere warm?
Thank you. We'll consider our meeting closed. Everybody have a nice evening. Safe trip home.